Hey, how you doing? Oh, it's getting really bad out there, you know? Things have changed and everything is changing. And it's terrifying with new technology and what's going on and how they have everything set up in a certain way. And a lot of, they want you to spend all this money for equipment that doesn't have what it's supposed to have. It's so terrifying, isn't it? Things have changed and things have come down to a point where things are not where they seem to be. And now you're faced with so many calls. Okay, there's a whole conspiracy going on there with smartphones with a camera built in and the video camera. They're like a hybrid, so they're both. But that's been going on for years. We have that, but we're paying a lot of money for these things. $500, $1,000, $2,000. We got so many. You got 50 megapixels. You got 100 megapixels, 200 megapixels, and then the big companies, the Nikon, the Sony, the Panasonic, and so forth. You know, and the conspiracies back and forth with these cameras. People say, get this one, get this one, get this one, get this one. No, the thing is, a lot of you are filming inside. Some of you might film outside. Do you need a gimbal? Yeah, well, you want something that's going to be stabilizing. Otherwise, it'd be jumping all over the place. But a lot of the lenses have built-in autofocus and more stability control. And those lenses would be more expensive if the camera doesn't have IBIS. If IBIS is in there, that's where they use IBS. If it's in there, the camera is heavier. You don't want to carry a heavy camera. You see what I mean? So they make the camera cheaper by not having a lot of features. And now these are mirrorless cameras. To get rid of the DSL that had a whole bunch of mirrors. But the DSLs did suffer from the shutter. Only so many 100,000 shutter, and then you have to get rid of it. There was a way to fix it, but I heard that it was better to just get another one. 100,000 shutters, that's a lot. But so we have mirrorless cameras, lighter, hybrid. They do both camera and they do both video. Because all these cameras they have, Canon has a whole bunch, Nikon has a whole bunch, Panasonic has a whole bunch. Everybody has. Nikon brought out Red, so they're talking about the Nikon ZR Red, which is just like their Z30, which was a vlogging camera, still out. That's what I'm using here. You tell me if you can tell a difference with picture quality. But see, I recorded cinematic mode for this one. It'll be 4K 25. I'm sorry, not 25, 4K 24. That's what I use. You can go higher to 4K 30, but that's a bigger file. Now, with these, they tend to overheat and they stop working, at least expected. The problem I have with this one here is the card reading. It has to be in the right format. Why is it not using EXFAT? Why does it has to use FAT32, which is old? Come on, Nikon. What are you doing? Huh? Why are we using old technology? And the Wi-Fi, it has built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth. You can use remote control Bluetooth on it too. I mean, it's not bad. It's dual stereo. You're looking at 16, 24 bit. That doesn't have the floating point like the new one has 32-bit floating, but it has stereo on it, left and right, like this one, left and right. Okay. The only thing with this is they're using Xpeed. I think it's EXP-EED. That one's number 6 instead of number 7. I know they cut costs using older. Number 7 is old too. They've been using that for. Whereas number 10, 8, and 10, any new technology, and all the cameras are basically the same. They got rid of a lot of the lineup. So all they have is the Z30, the Z52, the Z52, Z63, I think it is, and the 8 and the 9. That's pretty much it. But everything else is history. But the Z30 is still functioning because it's the vlog camera. And then the ZR, I forgot the ZR is one of the new ones there. The ZR, the ZR Red, which is that, but that's what it is. And this in 6 number 6.3 version, that's the Z6, are both have the same kind of features, but it doesn't have the red features. And then the red camera is expensive. You know, it's like AI told me that it only costs $350 to make that camera. I said $350. That's pretty much. They should sell it for $5, but they're not going to sell it for $5. You know, like that, because it wouldn't make no money. But it's not using the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi in it. It's the same thing as in the Z30. Wi-Fi AC. Why isn't that using Wi-Fi 7? You spend a lot of money for a camera. You know, you might say, well, I don't really care. I don't use the Wi-Fi anyway. Well, how you transfer your photos and stuff, you know, you have to tap. Because when I first got this, I was plugging this into the computer, the fastest computer I have. It's too slow. You might as well pop out the card, take out the card, and stick it in the computer and do it that way. It's much faster that way to transfer the videos. And this only records in H. 2.64 compression, and the new one does half. I have the new one in the smartphone hybrid camera system. Hybrid camera system does a better job in videos, but you know there's a limitation. You know, I don't get no zoom, so I hear them zoomed up so you can see the background. I don't want the whole place. You have to have a gigantic background for all that. Shoot, I ordered for a background. It would have been 9 feet and 9 feet, yeah, 9 feet long. This way. Landscape mode, okay? Then portrait would have been 38, almost 38 feet. That's a lot. Had to come by freight. Had to cancel that one. I had to cancel it. That's crazy. I don't got no warehouse for that. When you cut it, it's a special type, so it has no crease. It's like you see a lot of people have that nice smooth background. Well, that's what that is. It's terrifying to have to deal with all that. Yeah, you got impulse. Press that button. It wasn't too expensive too. You couldn't put it outside. I got a hold of the freight company. They were very nice. Stop it. Stop it. They stopped it. The guy never came here. He was supposed to come. I don't know. He was supposed to come one day, and I got them on the phone, and I just stopped it. And they stopped. I said, send it back to them. Okay. And send it back. That's all I know. Yeah, it's too big. Couldn't fit in here. It's too long. The thing is, here is 10 feet. Okay? But we're talking about the bottom piece, the thing that's 38 feet. That's going to be a thick roll. Yeah. And of course, you could cut it. Yeah. Then what are you going to do with the 28 feet? So it's crazy. But anyway, what I'm saying is these conspiracies and all these things and what you want you to believe. The world is different now with tariffs, which is a good idea. If we make money, that's good. If we here make money, that's good. And then you don't have to worry about things. But, something has to give, and it's kind of rough. Everything's controlled. Everything is set with prices. I like how these companies with these cameras, the camera, you're spending a lot of money. The cameras are not cheap. Even this, with everything you need for it, you're looking over $1,300 for it. Okay, still not the same price as the Z30, the ZR. The ZR is like double. Well, it's like 4 times the price for this. 1, 2, 3. Like you have 4 of these cameras, so it would equal 1. But they both have the same kind of feature. I mean, it's a Z lens, so the Z mount would fit on there. They sell this lens kit on that one to make it cheap, so it'd be like another 2.6K for that. That's a lot. Plus tax. No. Does it overheat? No. Nobody knows. Because it's built like this one. There's no fan. They have heat sink in there, right? They have to. It's a processor. This thing gets hot. I'm not saying it's a bad camera. I'm saying it worked. I've taken a lot of stuff with it. Sometimes I don't use it, but I'm using it now. Because sometimes you want to fall back on the camera and you just want the pictures. With the camera, you just take the video, send it right up. It goes quick because it's half the compression. So here it would be 50 gig. Yeah, it's 50 gig, right? And then here would be 25 gig. It would be half. We have the Sony as well, but that's another story. But Sony has 3 microphones. You got front, left, and right. Yeah. Well, this has 2. The ZR has front, left, and right, and one in the rear. But if I get my hands on the ZR, then I would really test it out and see what you can do with it. But the power source could be bigger. Could be, well, if it's 50 out of here, you can imagine it's 300 gig out of there. And gig, if you only got 1 gig up and 1 gig down, and the biggest gig you can get now is 10 up and 10 down. It's still not enough. It would be a little faster. You're going to have to wait for it. It's a lot to consider with the cameras. And then, so what should we buy? Should we buy the little plastic thing? Or you talking about the Pocket 3 with the gimbal on it? I tried to get that company to send, but I contacted them at the worst time when China had problems. Yeah, the Chinese company making those things. These cameras from Nikon that don't come from Japan, they come from Thailand. So, and you got Sony. Okay, they gotta make them high quality. You're paying a lot of money. You're not buying a toy. You're buying a high quality camera to videotape, to do all sorts of things, and you do not want problems. And there's a lot of problems out there. I'm trying to give you insights of what's going on. What I see. The AI agrees with me. The cameras, they don't have the top of the line Wi-Fi. The processors, the imaging, it's called imaging processor. Okay, see, they're older. Some say 10 years old. Hey, how can you do? And they don't put the latest technology in there. Sony, they make everything. I always say the camera company should be 100% camera. Now, Sony, they make a lot of stuff, TV, sound bars, all sorts of things. Nikon, they make binoculars, they make the lenses, they make the cameras. They should know what they're doing, right? And then what the other company, Canon's a long-time company. They used to make VCRs, 4-head recorders, for Panasonic, and they make plotters, they make printers, so they're really into the imaging. They make this laser printer that's hidden behind here. They make a lot of stuff. So the best one they make that's I can afford is the R50V. When I went to Canon today and I found the R50V, right, with its 10-bit color and its C-Log and all this other stuff they have on it, and it's supposed to have dual stereo. So I heard that it might be just one mic. Who knows? But $649. Camera and the lens. The lens is what again? 1430, I think. So 14 millimeter, 30 millimeter. This is 16 millimeter to 50 millimeter. Then there's another lens to this, brings it up to 50 to 250. You have to have both if you want to use photography. I was experimenting with this, in automatic mode, which is if you're gonna use this out of the box. A lot of people said tweet it, do it in manual. Yeah, but the problem is you keep or change the settings. Now I see what settings say. Everything's set to 0 for automatic, so that's it. Flesh tones are what they are. I mean, you can get really darker. You can play with exposure. On this one, I think it's negative 0.3. A lot of people. It depends how you like it. Somebody has a free profile file because they tweak the Z30. It's a free. You have to go through a whole thing to get it for free. Once you get it, you have to try to get it onto the camera. There's only a couple of ways of getting it on there. Because this camera, if you change the format of the from FAT32, which is FAT32 is slow. That's old. That's from what? Windows XP mode days. Why is that FAT? It should be EFAT. EXFAT? Why is it not using that? Why is it using the old system? What happens when you take this card and you put it in the computer reformats it and changes it to, it changes to, changes it to EFAT. Then when you put it back into your Nikon, it says, can't read the card. Then you send it back to the computer, then use some third party to change it to back to FAT32. You lose your stuff on there. You can put it in the other computer and pull the stuff off of it. Yeah. It's a shame. The conspiracy with the cameras, and everybody's talking about the camera, and nobody knows what to buy. And everybody bought these cameras when they first came out, so they have old videos and stuff like that. There's an update for this as well. There's a firmware update. It's updated, added some features supposed to fix the problem I just talked about, but it's still there. I've tried the app on the phone and transferred video. It does work. It just takes time to do it that way, you know. I know they try to make it easy. A lot of settings. Hey, but you can do a lot on this. You know, you get the best picture. These are photo cameras, but they're doing video. Maybe you're better off buying this a video camera. They do have them. They're expensive. They're strictly video. I mean that the C50 from Canon and the C80. The 80 is expensive. They are just cinematic cameras for video. I believe they're 2 pictures, but they're not designed for that. It's more for video. But the conspiracy is this. What do you get? Your phone does everything. Your cell phone does everything. You got this phone, got AI technology. I could take a photo of myself, a portrait right now. AI stands me out. You stand out. That means you come, instead of being flat, you stand out which is pretty good. I'm not saying these cameras can't do it, but they want to shoot in RAW. So this shoots in RAW. Okay, so when you shoot in RAW, you're supposed to take it to DaVinci or something else, and enhance the video, make it punchy. So you shoot in RAW. You know, it keeps the information in there. It should be able to do it out of the camera. What happened to those things? Why do you have to shoot it in RAW? Why can't you just take it out of the camera? The camera should be able to shoot in Vivid. If you set it to Vivid, it should shoot in Vivid, right? I set it to Vivid. They have different settings there. Flat. Everybody sets the camera to flat, and then they edit it in software. I don't have no time to sit there and do all that stuff. Just take it. Your phone takes pictures, good quality pictures. But there's some capabilities that, if there's too much light in a room, the phone, it has NDF filters. It filters out most of that brightness. There's only so much you can do with your phone, and especially it's expensive. Everything that's on there, it blows these cameras out of the water. You got 50 megapixels. And most of these phones, these cameras don't even do 50 megapixels. This is 21 megapixels. The top of the ZR, I think it's 26 megapixels. Some of the new ones is 40. I think this or 46. Like the other one there. That's not a lot compared to you got something that has 200 megapixels. But can you see the real difference? That's why the conspiracy is tough. The people that talk about all this stuff all day, you gotta. And some people, there's some channels gone. They turn to ghost channels. They give up. I don't give up. I like to have a whole channel based on camera, but I can't. I can't do it. I don't have the time. I focus on tech and tell you what's going on with the industry, what's going on with the AIs, what's going on in the mall, what's going on now. This is the conspiracy is here, but the cameras. Should you use your smartphone that you just using it for everything, and it can do. When you're buying a smartphone, make sure you get the biggest storage. If you're not using iPhone, the biggest storage. You can get big storage. Then there's more stuff you can, because you're gonna do 4K. They have that ZR, the 6K. Oof. What is using 6K? Most everything we have is 4K, but they do support 8K. Some streaming services, but. Or 12, it depends what you want. I want something. If I'm going to spend $2,000, which is a lot, that's $20, $100 bills. I want to get my money's worth. I don't want old technology that you can just, the Pocket 3, I mean, that little thing there, that has its problems, so nobody talks about those problems. And it's really bad. The battery, you sent into, you have to get the battery that comes with it, that's it. There's no easy battery. We can buy a whole bunch of batteries for these cameras. Like this camera, I got a whole bunch of batteries. Yeah, I got them all. Okay, a whole bunch of batteries. Now, I got about maybe, tell me, almost 8 of them. I gotta eat. So excuse me for that. I don't know if you heard it. You might have, because this has big speakers. Microphones on this are really loud. A lot of people like this camera, and some people don't. But, you can't please everybody. I mean, it does work. It does take pictures. It's 8-bit recording. I want 10-bit. That's what this is, 10-bit down here. There's a big difference. But this is high-quality 10-bit. It's not like regular 8-bit. High-quality 10-bit down here. Up here is probably high-quality 8-bit. Yeah. Sony's ZV line does that too. They cut corners. Make it 10-bit like everybody else. So the ZR is 10-bit, 12-bit in recording. There's a lot of features. But the file size is going to be big. And a lot of computers can't handle large files. They're going to choke. Especially you don't have enough RAM for it, too. It's not just the RAM. It's the storage you're using and how the processor, octa-core processor. Even higher. Octa-core is 8 cores or higher in higher RAM, faster RAM. But a lot of the computers that we have today, they're a bottleneck. The graphics processor, you have to put that, the whole, with the fans and everything. You got to use that. Somebody's really going at it. You got to use that to really have good 4K out of your TV if you're playing your games, on your computer. I got, I'm going to review it, and talk about it here, but I can't yet because I haven't done it yet. If you see how I have this thing rigged up, you'll be surprised. Hey, got the best for this. Okay, I got to record all the time. Holy cow, this thing's getting hot. Got a little fan here. But the internal, and they sell these little fans you plug on the back. But right here, the part is hot here. It's getting hot. I don't have my. I do have it this time. See? It says 96. That's what it is. That's what it's showing. 96. 96. That's how hot it's getting. Let me see if I can see it now. 102. That's how hot it is. That's how hot as it's getting. See? When it's so. Let me see if I can get it. It goes pretty quick. Yeah, 110 in the back. See? See now 110. 110. That's how hot it is back there. Well, I have Bluetooth on because I have to have it on here. That's a lot. Yeah. I use this on another show. I wanted to show you how hot these things get. I could imagine how the ZR must be doing. Whew. I wish they would say, hey, stop talking about it. Show us if it gets hot and overheat, because you don't want to spend money on overheat stuff that's going to overheat, because then you can't record. Now your phone can overheat too. Shut off on you too. I just had a memory chip in for this. Stopped working. It says unable to read the card, so it didn't record anything. I go put it in the computer. The computer read it, but there's nothing there. Hey, if you find this video helpful, subscribe. Okay, trying to get it up to where it needs to be. Okay, and I do thank you very much for doing so. And we'll have more of these conspiracies and things you like to talk about in the tech world. Okay, that's it. We're out of here.